Hey everybody, welcome to the fourth installation of the Daily Geek here with the officially unofficial Geek channel. I've been having fun doing these and today is no different. So really low-key day yesterday. Went looking at a thrift store for some books and that was fun. And I also wanted to do like a little bit of research in regards to, I had recently encountered a book in the library, a bookstore that I thought about buying because it was, okay, so first off, let me go back. The books that you're seeing across your screen in the beginning here of this video are, I went to a thrift store and I was looking not only for myself, but I was also looking for Joe, and Joe's been getting into like the Dungeons and Dragons story books, and he was looking for stuff in particular, and I didn't find specifically the stuff that he was specifically looking for, but I found these. Gary Gygax is the creator of Dungeons and Dragons, and he wrote some novels. And at the thrift store I was at, we had these 3 novels that he wrote. And guys, I went ahead and I snagged them up, and they were on sale even for the thrift store. And I got all these books for a mere like just under $3.50. It was pretty cool. That was pretty cool. Didn't find anything for myself, but found stuff that, well, you know, Joe got happy about it. So these 3 books, Gary Gygax wrote like oodles of ages ago. Gary Gygax is also unfortunately no longer with us. He has died many years ago. But he is also not only the author of these books, but also the creator of Dungeons and Dragons. I haven't played in so long, but I miss it. It'd be nice if I had more time to do a lot of things, and one of those things would be to play more D&D. Yeah, so that's the thing. That's me in D&D. But I also was like, one of the things that I wanted to do with these videos that I like mentioned yesterday was I wanted to kind of give you guys like an extra special glimpse into who I am as a person, as a creator, writer, as a channel even. What I want to kind of offer to people that view my channel, view my videos, interact with me on social media, maybe even become my friends. You know, I've made some friends in this community already, but you know what? There's always room for more. And I want to use these videos kind of as a way to get you guys to kind of get that extra special glimpse into who I am in all those ways. And you know, kind of, you know, finally, really kind of get out some of my ideas on how I read, how I write, how I create. And here we go. So I was thinking, I was in a bookstore the other day, and I saw a book about Bill Finger. Okay, so Bill Finger is the person that around, I think it was 2015, maybe. You know, I'm going to have to check the date on that. Around it, for some reason, there's a part of my brain that wants to say 2011, and there's a part of my brain that wants to say 2015. You know what, guys, I'm going to have to check on that for you. However, it's Bill Finger is the person that in one of those years was finally recognized by DC Entertainment, DC Comics, as the co-creator of Batman. Yeah, the Batman, was the co-creator with Bob Kane. This is something that Bob Kane had kind of just milked the fame for, as people do, for goddamn, like, decades, right? It's Bob Kane's name that appears in, like, everything, up to a certain point, as standing alone. And he, back in the 80s, did like this interview, and I cannot recommend enough. There is Batman and Bill, I think is the name of the documentary. There's a documentary that I think I might actually, because I love documentaries, guys. That's another thing about me. I love documentaries. I love regular movies, horror, comedy, all that stuff. But the weird coming of age teen drama, love them all. And documentaries. I love documentaries. And there's a documentary out there. I think it's called Bill and Batman, or Batman and Bill. And it is the documentary version of a book that was written. This guy had heard, it does really deserve a rewatch on my part, because I'm really interested about looking at the history of everything. You're going to find that out about me. If you haven't already found that out about me, watching any of my other YouTube videos here, or seeing me in social media, I love to not only read the books, but I love to get down to whatever is available. Some of the stories that happen behind the stories. And we're going to talk more about a little bit of one in a bit, as you can tell from the title of this video. I love to look into some of these things, and the first moment I saw this documentary, it was right when I started getting back into comics, in the middle of the pandemic, and it was eye-opening. I did not know about this. The thing is, it's like, I'm sitting there and I'm looking through comics, and I start grabbing, I'm getting back into this, and I start grabbing my Batman books, and I'm like, when did this happen? And it struck me that at that moment, looking at that title page, seeing the writers, seeing all the people, not just the writer, not just the main artist, but all the people that contribute to the making of that book in my hands. I knew they existed. Obviously, I knew that they were very important, but it was one of those things where it's like, God damn it, Carrie, you got to pay attention. Who are these people? You have to pay more attention, and you have to be the kind of person that acknowledges this shit, because this is what this is who you want to be, this is who you strive to be. This is who you want to be. You want your name on this page someday. And it was a realization moment. It was one of these things where it's like discovering who Bill Finger was, discovering what had happened, rediscovering something I always knew, like actually really not discovering it, but really taking a look at those pages, those title pages with all the stuff there, and all the people that do that, and all the people that don't even get listed, and thinking about, this is you. This is where you want to be. It was kind of a thing for me. It was that's when I was sitting there, and I had been in the moment of like, I had this idea for a book, and the thing is, it's like I had originally. I mean, you guys, I've published self-published two poetry volumes. At the time when this happened, I had self-published one poetry volume, and it was like there was this time period of my life where I went through all of this, like, who do I want to be? um, it seemed like it should have been so easy, guys, because I went to school. I studied theater. Don't you want to do something with theater? Well, guys, I don't know if you know, but that's difficult. Um, that's a difficult process, and I gotta say that, I went through a lot of ideas of who I wanted to be, what I wanted to do. I was a grown up trying to figure out what the hell I wanted to do when I grew up, and grew up further. And I wanted to bake. I wanted to own a bakery, guys. I wanted to own a bakery that specialized in cupcakes because I can bake a little. I wanted to have my own jewelry and accessories boutique because I like doing that. I even did that as a side thing, I have a whole box of jewelry that I haven't even sold yet, and stuff to make it, like a huge tote of all that. And I would love to do it again, but just, it's very time consuming. And then I discovered this. I even thought about going back to school, getting a teacher's certificate, and teaching theater. I thought about all those things. I thought about getting into politics, guys. Yeah, I thought about that. I thought about politics. I thought about getting into politics, for crying out loud. Oh my goodness. It was short-lived. That one was very short-lived. I considered becoming a beautician, a cosmetologist. Yeah, guys, I had a little bit of training involving theatrical makeup in college. I've thought about becoming a makeup artist. I thought about becoming a cosmetologist. Not necessarily. At first, it was beautician. I wanted to do all of it. And then it was like, I just want to be a makeup artist. And this is all stuff that I'm not half bad at. But everything just kept on, like, not making complete sense. I did writing. I was writing. I was always writing. I've been writing since I was young. It goes all the way from making up silly stories or silly songs, actually, when you're a child, about random things. There are, like, the weird memories that I have in my head about all of that. Stuff that you wouldn't think one should remember. I being a kid, and just, I sat there one time when I was, this is one of these memories, right? Just like, they had these trading cards that were Looney Tunes trading cards, and I totally got into it. I don't even remember how old I was, and I have a specific memory of me sitting, probably annoying everyone in my household, with making up a song involving the Looney Tunes characters and the goddamn baseball cards, like Looney Tunes baseball cards that I had. it was always, I can't remember how young I was. I know I was but a tiny, small Carrie. Definitely, probably, I wouldn't say that I was much older than 10 years old at that moment. Um, and I remember this. I'm 40 years old. I am knocking on the door of 41. And it's always been there. It's always been me. It's the thing that I've always been. And I don't understand. I don't understand why it took me so long. And it took me getting back into comics to really think that this is more than just me. This is more than me just sitting there and writing some poetry and publishing it and being like, okay, I'm done now. I did it. I accomplished that. I'm done now. It's more than that. It's more than that for me. And I think that up until that moment, like I knew it, deep down, I knew it was more than that for me, but it was like, I was kind of just sitting there like, where am I going with this? What am I doing with this? And I went ahead and after I published that first, or was really getting close to, even like to the point where I was like really getting close to finishing publishing that first volume of poetry, I was really starting to write a novel. I started writing the novel, and the concept of the novel is a high fantasy. And then I remembered I don't like high fantasy. I don't read high fantasy. Okay. So why is it high fantasy? Um, so I kind of nixed that idea. And then I turned it into the concept that I had. I turned it into a novel that was a dystopian future type of novel, which is more along the lines of stuff that I actually like. Okay. So, there we go. A dystopian novel, more along the lines of what I actually like. And I started writing it and I started really getting down into it. The the high fantasy novel, though, to be completely fair, I had over 10,000 words on that one. If you are not familiar with the idea of word counting for a novelist, 10,000 is a pretty gosh darn good start, okay? Yeah, 10,000, over 10,000 words, mind you, is a pretty gosh darn good start for a novel. In particular, if you're not wanting it to be standard, which I wasn't looking for it to be standard. I was looking for it to be me. But 10,000 words on a novel, not too shabby. I still have the files. I can revisit again later if I ever do end up liking high fantasy. Um, but I started writing the idea again, taking the idea, turning it into a dystopian future novel. And I was in the middle of little by little working on that when I also got the idea for my vampire novel. Um, and then I also got the idea for a horror story. And I realized around that time when I'm looking at all this and when I'm realizing how deep and how quickly my mind has gone into complete obsession mode, and how, like, after all this time has not waned, um, that it was finally it for me. I am, this is where I am. and I'm getting pretty long-winded about everything right now. And what I'm really going to talk about here is I went looking for the first books that Bill Finger was credited on, and it's these two. It's these two that you saw here, Batman and Robin Eternal 3, and Batman Arkham Knight Genesis 2015. Okay, so there we go, 2015, guys. I'm looking at the pictures right now while I'm recording this. Yes, 2015 is the first books and the first recognition that Bill Finger got for Batman after decades of it being kind of a known thing, y'all, that he was involved, for him to officially be noted in print of his involvement with the creation of the Batman. The Batman, y'all. The Batman. The man. The man, okay? And now, coincidentally, they are a part of my sought comics. Because, guys, I don't just like the stories between the pages. I like the stories behind the stories. Which is what... First off, guys, find Batman and Bill. Watch it. If you haven't already, it is great. I think it's due for a rewatch for me. And let me know what you think of it. It's eye-opening, and honestly, it's upsetting. It's upsetting, but you know what? It's something... Sometimes we have to know about the upsetting things so that we can do our part to make sure they never happen again. So that leads me to what I want to talk about next, which is actually, I'm probably going to, my plan is to call this a certain thing, but I'm probably, because of how much time I spent talking about my feelings involving Bill Finger and everything like that, I'm probably going to have to alter the name. I'll make the decision. You guys will see it. And that will be that. But what I want to do is I want to talk to you about... I finally finished Batman Dark Victory by Jeph Loeb and Tim Sale. Now, guys, I started reading this a few months back, around the time that Tim Sale departed this world. And I meant to finish it like a lot sooner than yesterday, but I got shiny thing syndrome, which basically for me is I went ahead and I started reading this, and then I was like, ooh, but I want to read this too. And I didn't take the time to actually just kind of sit there and be like, okay, this is how we're going to do this. And that's part of my problem a lot of times, is I get shiny thing syndrome and I want to read it all. I want to read it all. Like, I will sit there and I'll think about all the things that I haven't read. And it drives me nuts. I'm sure, like I am preaching to the choir right now. I am thinking about all the things I have not read, and it makes me nuts. It's like I will sit there all the time at my working, doing, I have a very busy day job, but every once in a while being like, man, I want to read right now. I want to create something. I want to write. I want to read. I want to do that right now. And the fact that I am not doing it right now makes me nuts. Makes me completely and totally nuts that I can't be creative right now, because I have to be logical and analytical, and which is fine. I have those sides to my personality, but the fact of the matter is I end up starting a lot of things, starting a lot of books for like a few months. Just to give you an idea, what have I begun? I began Dark Victory. I began Crisis on Infinite Earths. I began Death Metal. I began, what else? What else was there? There was others. I began Tank Girl. I started, gosh, there's others. There's others that I started. But these are some major ones that I started, and I started trying to read, and I just I just kept on opening new books and reading them on the app, actually in my hand, everything. I'm like a dragon in that sense. I have a to be read pile that is insane, but let's do this. Let's talk about Batman Dark Victory. Let's try to keep it a little bit more on track for the rest of the video, guys, because here's what's going to happen. We're not only going to talk about Batman Dark Victory by Loeb and Sale. God rest God's rest Mr. Tim Sale, as we have lost him a few months back. But I'm also going to talk to you about this guy, Archie Goodwin. Guys, if you don't know about Archie Goodwin, and I really didn't know much about Archie Goodwin before yesterday, but I'm glad I looked. I'm glad I looked. This is a snippet, screenshot from his Wikipedia page. Archie Goodwin. Why am I looking up about Archie Goodwin when reading Dark Victory? What's this have to do with it? Archie Goodwin didn't work on Dark Victory, because if you see, Mr. Goodwin also departed this planet of existence March 1st, 1998. Dark Victory is, I believe, a 1999, 2000 book. But let's talk about it. Let's talk about Archie Goodwin. Why did I look up Archie Goodwin? Well, in the middle of reading and finishing reading Dark Victory, I kept on seeing in the title page where it lists all the contributors to the book. It reminded me of the fact that there was a time where Bill Finger was not credited as one of the co-creators of Batman. 1, 2, I kept on seeing inspiration, Archie Goodwin inspiration by Archie Goodwin, something to that effect, and I'm like, I know who Loeb and Sale are. I know who some of these other people are. I do not know who Archie Goodwin is. And what did he inspire? What did he do? Who is Archie Goodwin? Well, guys, this guy right here is huge, okay? Let's just say he's huge, okay? One, it is impossible to take the time in this video here to talk about everything Archie Goodwin has done involving and for comics. Archie Goodwin basically had a history involving the comic book industry that ranged decades. He was an editor, as you see there, it says writer, penciler, editor of some of the things that we celebrate today. One of the things when I mentioned Archie Goodwin this morning before recording this voiceover to Joe was that Archie Goodwin was an editor and a big deal in regards to the early writer, editor, artists, that kind of thing, in regards to the early Star Wars newspaper comics. So originally, Star Wars, before you had full comic books of Star Wars, you had the early newspaper days. And there are books out there that you can probably look for. Marvel, who holds the current Star Wars banner, for obvious reasons, is notorious for discontinuing books, printing of books, and Star Wars, different volumes of Star Wars are definitely no different. So he was one of the people that originally, when Star Wars comics began, they started as syndicated comic strips. Syndicated comic strips run by King's Features Syndicate, or Keen Features Syndicate. Now, some of these, he was not only responsible for doing work in regards to Star Wars, but other syndicated comic strips in newspapers. And that's just like kind of the first part of his career. He worked for the old Warren Comics, EC Comics. He was obsessed with EC Comics, the eerie, creepy stuff. Like the early Tales of the Crypt comics. He supposedly used to spend hours as a teenager in magazine shops looking for old copies of those. He did do a tour after getting drafted into the Army. This was back during Vietnam, obviously. And when he came back to comics, and he came back full force. Guys, this is a dude that is responsible for co-creating characters like Luke Cage. We have Luke Cage. He co-created Luke Cage, okay? He co-created Spider-Woman. He wrote some of the earliest Iron Man. He talked about in interviews how when he went to try to get the job with Marvel Comics, he went into he went to Stan Lee's office. Why couldn't I think of the name Stan Lee for a second, guys? Please don't hold that against me. He went into Stan Lee's office to try to get the job with Marvel, and he told people that Stan Lee handed him some frames of Iron Man and asked him how he would write Iron Man. And Archie told him. Archie got the job and worked on Iron Man. So he went to DC. He did stuff with DC. He wrote some Batman. And guys, it's impossible to summarize this guy's career in full in such a short time. You gotta do yourself a favor. If you don't know much about Archie Goodwin, please go check out his Wikipedia page, read it. Give it a good read like I did yesterday. It is some good stuff. He did some good stuff. And go look for some of the stuff he did. Like I'm planning on eventually looking for some of the stuff that he did, some of the early stuff, like Luke Cage stuff that he worked on. Maybe some of his eerie comics, his horror comics. I would love to go check out that stuff, especially because of the season. We'll see how easy it is, and I'll see if I can talk about it at a later date here. But why am I bringing up Archie Goodwin along with Dark Victory? Because he's listed as an inspiration. Yes. So what is he the inspiration for? One of the things they do mention in the Wikipedia article, for Archie Goodwin is how he is the inspiration for the way that James Gordon is depicted in The Long Halloween and Dark Victory. Now, you look at this guy's picture, you look at the art involving James Gordon in Dark Victory, Long Halloween, and you're like, oh yeah, yeah. Like, look at this guy. He definitely gives off the vibe of James Gordon, especially in these graphic novels. And today we celebrate you, Archie Goodwin, for being not only everything you did, but being the inspiration for the good Commissioner James Gordon. Which brings us to Dark Victory by Jeph, Loeb, Tim Sale. This is, if you weren't already aware, this is the follow-up, the sequel to Long Halloween. So it's basically kind of picking up about a year after the events of Long Halloween concluded. And we have a situation where things happen. I'm going to be as spoiler-free as possible, while also trying to wet your whistle in regards to wanting to read this, because I do recommend this. Because, guys, it's Loeb and Sale, okay? What more do I need to say besides that? So let's wet your whistle in regards to Dark Victory, guys. Like I said, taking place about a year after the events of the Long Halloween. And when it does that, it's really great because we now have a new serial killer running around in the style of Holiday, the Holiday Killer, knocking off people one by one. And it's all seeming to be corrupt officials, corrupt police officers are running around, and this killer, which is now being coined the Hangman, is killing people and leaving little pieces of case files and documents having to do with Harvey Dent, and writing out in red you know, when you were a kid and you played like Hangman, like it's kind of like Wheel of Fortune, but for kids, right? So leaving little games of Hangman with messages. Now, they're doing this a la Holiday, where it's happening on a holiday, okay? So it's not just a clever name. But they're not going to call it Holiday because they already have Holiday, and they already know Holiday is, you know, the son of Falcone, and he is one in Arkham, and two, when he is allowed to leave Arkham, he is under house arrest with, you know, the bracelet, anklet, all that jazz. So it seems unlikely. It seems unlikely that this is, you know, Alberto. So who is it? And this is the book series. It is technically 14 issues, though I'm going to tell you that first issue is 0, and it's only a few pages. That's it. It's like a little prologue before you get into the story. There's certain things that happen, retellings of origins in the story. You have a retelling of the origin of Dick Grayson, Robin. You have a lot of different characters showing up on this. You definitely got some Catwoman, okay? You definitely got the Selena Kyle. You definitely got Alfred, of course. You've got Commissioner Gordon. You've got the new DA, Porter. You've got all kinds of different members of the Rogues Gallery, but you've also got the whole continuation of fighting organized crime in Gotham City. And I love stories like that, where it's like you have these whodunit stories in Batman, where you not only have, you know, the wonderment of the Rogues Gallery, but you also have this whole, like, these stories where they take on like the organized crime element and everything like that. I love that. It's the nitty gritty of why he gets to be called the world's greatest detective. And I love it. I love it. I really enjoyed it, guys. And I cannot say enough about the enjoyment I've gotten reading not only The Long Halloween, but also this one. I like the idea of having stories like this, Dark Victory, Long Halloween, being immortalized also in stories like the Batman, where you have elements from both of those stories being kind of, you know, recycled in Robert Pattinson's portrayal of the Batman. To a point. I mean, you know, it's not completely there, but I absolutely loved this story. I hope you guys do too. Let me know in the comments if you've read it. I'll be back here tomorrow with some new fun stuff to talk about. And maybe I'll watch a movie tonight. Obviously, if we're all both up to it, we're going to record our Wednesday show and get that out to you tonight as well. I think we're going to talk about House of the Dragon, episode 3, because that was a banger. Okay. Yeah, I think if we get to the point where we're able to go ahead and record it, sometimes it's a wait and see whether we're going to record. I know we're ready to talk about it, obviously, because we both are really enjoying that series, and got some stuff to say. But anyways, guys, thank you for going on this journey with me. Thank you for being here for this extra longer video than usual. And letting me into your lives, your phones, your computer screens, your TVs, and giving me the opportunity to share this bit of myself with you. I really appreciate it, and I will continue to do so. I'll keep creating the content. You guys keep reading and watching, and we'll be seeing ya. This is the unofficial Geek channel. I'm so happy to be here, and I'm happy you guys are here too. I'll be seeing ya.